Okay, well, this is going to be a short video on just the updates that have been done to the Basket Trader version 22. We are now at version 23, and I have it on the chart here, but I do have it stopped. Now, as you know, version 22, version 23 now also, we can handle up to 20 pairs, as you see them over here. And it's no rhyme or reason why I chose these pairs. I just picked 20 pairs to show you what 20 pairs would look like, and this is what the offline chart of that 20 pair looks like. Now, there's been a few changes other than that added into version 23. So if we open up the properties here, as you can see, none of this has changed. This is still all the same. Now what we have added is a entry filter setting, which we call the use trade times for entry, and I'll show you what those are in a minute. Otherwise the rest of these are the same. And exit, we have also added a use trade times for exit, and we'll talk about those in just a minute. Otherwise the rest of them are still the same. And we've also, this is now the trade times. As you can see up here, trading hours, you can select the hours which you want the robot to trade. This works fairly good if you want to set up a breakout trade for like a pending news announcement or something like that. You can set up a breakout trade and set the hours you want it to watch, and you don't have to sit and watch it because the robot will automatically trade during that time period. Now, as you notice here, we got morning hours and evening hours. Now in my case here, if I want to trade, now these hours are your computer clock time. These are not the broker's hours, these are your computer clock. Now in my case, a lot of times I do some breakouts, and I do them like an hour before London opens. I set it up and do it for like 8 hours or something. So what I would do is put like 1 in here, and I'd put 9 in here, and that would get me, because I'm on Central Standard Time, so this would get me 1 hour before London opens, and it would run for approximately 8 hours. I'd have a window of opportunity to trade. Now be sure I always put the same thing down here. You don't want to put the zeros down here. If you put zeros down here, it will trade on the 0 hour. So this is basically the way I would set it up if I want to trade the basically the London breakout session. And like I said, you got those 2 selections up there. You can tell the robot to take entries only during this window of time, and you can also tell it to take an exit when this window closes. What the exit means is when I got to the 9th hour, after the 9th hour, after 9 o'clock in the morning, if there was any open trades, it would automatically close all the open trades on this particular basket. So in my case here, it would open any trades between the hours of 1 and 9 Central Standard Time. And if I had the close option selected to exit, it would exit after 9 o'clock. So the exit only works at the end of your trading zone. I'll call it a zone here, or time period, but your entry can be taken anytime during this trading zone. So for now, I'll just reset it back to where it was. If you want to trade 24 hours a day, just set 0, 12, 12, 24, but then there's really no purpose in using it, so you won't be setting your settings up above here. And like I said, here's the one you would set up for exit. You would set that to true, and like I said, that would close all your open trades at the end of that time period. And the other one up here for the open entry, if you set that to true, it would enter a trade anytime during that window of opportunity. I think that's about it for the timer. Now down here under the baskets, I've added more pairs that you can reverse. Now remember, these are always active, so no matter what basket you're trading, whether it's a basket written here or a basket you're loading in, whatever, these are always active. So make sure you have these set to false if you don't want to reverse any pairs, no matter what. And like it says, now you can reverse up to 10 pairs. They all have it. So normally what you would do is just, you're only going to reverse 2 or 3, just reverse the first 2 or 3 in the basket. Just make sure they're at the top of your list, or they don't have to be, but as long as they're within that first 10, you can randomly select these. And as you can see over here right now, we have none of them as being reversed. They were all yellow. When you set one up for being reversed to take the opposite trade, it will change to blue. And like I said, you can go down here and you can actually do one farther down. Say you want to set that one. And if we click OK and the robot starts running, that's the normal. You notice these two are blue. The reason I got that lot setting was because my lot on this particular demo account has to be 0.1, and it was set at 0.01. As you can see, we're going to reverse these two pair. So now if the basket takes a long trade, which is signaled by this basket combination down here, your price action line, if this basket takes a long trade, everyone will go long except these two blue ones, which will go short. They will always go the opposite direction of what the basket is taking. So in this case, these two would go short, and the other 18 would go long if you took a long trade. If this thing happens to go the other direction, so the basket would end up taking a short trade. Say this thing broke this, say you had a trend line here, and it broke down through it and it took a short trade, all the yellow ones would go short and the two blue ones would go long. Now we're going to stop this for a minute. Now in this case here, you notice, actually I'm on build 646 here, but we're set up right now for the build 670. Now I can change that in the settings. Just go back to the settings. I'm going to reset this. This will put all those back to true. See, here's where I had my lot setting. I should change that to 0.1, then I won't get that pop-up telling me that I got the wrong lot setting. And you notice it set them all back to false for me because I just hit the reset, so I reset it back to its defaults. But now if you go down here, under miscellaneous, you'll see where it says buttons left is set to true. That's what you use for version 670, build 670 I mean. If you have MT4 build 670, leave this at true, it will put these buttons on the left. The reason for that is because the build 670 has a problem in the MT4 platform. When these buttons are placed over on the right hand side they have a tendency to be scattered around a little bit and not in the right position. But now since I am on 646 build, I'm going to set this to false and put them back over on the right side. Now they're back over here. So this EA will work on build 670 or 646. Okay, now one other change I have made is when you do your breakout lines. Remember, you click on this, and normally now you got BO, which means the candle has to close above or the candle has to close below the breakout line. To give a signal. So we'll just put these right here for now. So breakout means it has to close above, the candle would have to close above there. And to take a short, the candle would have to close below the line. Now, normally before, here's one little change. Before, when you wanted to add your take profit for a breakout channel, you'd click on the take profit, remember? And that still is the same. And you move it around, and it's going to give you your risk to reward for going long. Now you notice it is in reference to the breakout channel because that's where you would more than likely enter the trade if you broke out this direction. If you broke out this direction, it's still in reference to the bottom breakout channel. And you notice now it gives you the short risk reward. Okay, that's all the same as it was before. So let's just set this we'll set it at a 1-to-1. That means this distance here is the same as this distance. Because when you're using a breakout channel, remember it always uses the lower channel as the stop loss if you're going long. If you're going short, it will use the upper line as the stop loss unless you put a stop loss in there. So right now we're going to lock that in. Now remember, if you click this BO again, it turns to PO, which is a pending order, which then makes these lines pending order lines, which all that means is the price, all it has to do is hit this line and it will activate the trade. It doesn't have to close above it, just touch it. When this gray line touches that line, it will activate a trade. But we're in the breakout, so the candle has to close above the line in order for it to be active. So we're going to lock this in now. Now you notice in this case our line went away. Before it would stay on the chart and you just grab it and move it down here to put your other take profit line in case you got a short breakout. Well, some people were accidentally leaving that line on the screen and they weren't erasing it when they were done, which would cause the EA to take an invalid. It would take a trade, but it might cause the trade to be closed immediately. So what I've done now, when you click it to lock it, it erases it. So now to do your lower line, all you gotta do is click your take profit line again, move them down here, just put them, I could put them at 1-to-1 or so, whatever you want, wherever you think. And then you lock that one in. Now when I lock this in, that line will disappear. Before, remember, you had to go back up and click on the take profit pips button here to erase that line. Well, some people were forgetting that, and you ended up with a take profit line down here. Well, what happens if you got a take profit line down here and you get a long trade? Long trades go in this direction. Well, as soon as you open up the trade's going to say, the EA is going to say, hey, my take profit's down here. I've already passed my take profit. I'm going to close the trade. So it immediately closes the trade because the EA, the robot, looks for these lines on the chart. And if they're there, it's going to use them. Now, Right now we got a stop loss if it breaks out long of 158 pips. Now say these lines were a long ways apart and you don't like that much stop loss. In this case you get 361. Now if you want to split the difference, what you can do, you can put a stop loss line on here, put it right in the middle and split the difference. That way if you go long, you got a stop loss of 174, and if you go short you got a stop loss of 174. That's one way you can do it. And then if you can turn on the trailing stop, so this will trail if you break out long, if this starts to go up, this will keep following up at the same amount. Same way going down, if you break out short, it will break out down going short. So that's one thing you can use if you feel these lines are too far apart. But in this case where they're only 161 pips, which isn't much stop loss for 20 pair. So, but I think that just about covers it. Like I said, that's the only thing that's changed is now these will go away when you lock them. You got to bring them back. I think it just will save, because I've noticed some people setting these up that forgot to remove that take profit line. And the EA will see it on the screen and it will use it as the take profit. And then what happens is, like I said, if it's in the wrong side of the trade, it could stop you out immediately when you open the trade. So this should help that. Now one other thing I do a lot of times too, you see I got my trade sessions on here, which is just an indicator that you can find on the internet. It's called the auto sessions indicator. And you can see the time frames there. A lot of time what I'll do is I'll set my trade window up with this session indicator. Sometimes I'll even just eliminate all these other sessions here, just call it like a trade zone or something like that, and then just put one session in here and have it match what my trade window is, if I'm going to use the trade window. That way I can look at the chart here, I can see where I'm actually trading. Just remember, these times are actual broker times or London and New York open times, so they're going to be different than what your computer clock is. Because like in the EA you use the computer clock time, like I said, where here you would be actually using the actual opens and closes of these sessions. And you can actually put up to 5 sessions on here. So right now you see there's only 3, so if I wanted to, I could add another session just by going like this, and we'll call it my session, and we'll see what it looks like when I put it on there. And we'll use the 1 to 9, but like I said, don't use that here because it's not going to match. But I'll just show you what's 1 to 9. And let's see, we'll give it a color here. Let's give it white. And you can see it there. Now what I would do is match that up to my trade window if I'm using a trade window. And like I say, a lot of times I even eliminate these other ones, so I don't even have them on there, because if I'm not going to use them, there's no point in having them on there. So I can get rid of these other ones. And then it just gives me all it's going to show me now is my trade window when I'm actually going to be trading, and there it is. So I can look at the chart and say this is where I'm going to be trade. I can enter a trade anytime within this trade window. If you have the entry turned on, set to true. If you have the exit set to true, remember what I says, it will exit the trade at the exit, right at the line, when that trade window closes. That's when it will exit. It doesn't exit anytime during the window, it exits when the trading window closes. So for now, I just put these back to their default. Because a lot of times, like when you do a breakout trade, you may want to do a breakout of the previous days, like say the New York session, which is in green here. Maybe you want to do a breakout of the previous day's New York session, so you would put that line there. And maybe you want to put another one down there for your breakout line. And in this case, they're a ways away, so all I would do is put my stop loss in the middle. And if this happened to break out during your window, whenever your window was over here, it would take the trade. Or if you had the pending order set, it would take the trade when it hit the line, or if it was greater than the line. So just some things you can try, but I think that just about covers everything. I don't want to get this any longer than I have to. Like I said, so I got 20 pair in here. That was just to show you that it'll handle 20 pair and how to reverse them. So we'll get this posted, and like I say, this is just the updates for version 23. If you want to see how all the other stuff works, go back into the video library at YouTube there, and you should be able to find out how the rest of it works.